Welcome to the Burn Factory podcast with Priest and Phoenix Rivera. Listen as the boys interview the biggest names in sports and entertainment. The Burn Factory starts now.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Burn Factory podcast. I'm your host, Priest, joined by my co-host, my brother, the one and only Phoenix. Say what's up to the camera.
What's up, y'all?
This is called the Burn Factory for a reason. I was literally caught on fire. 50% chance to live, but through that, I started this podcast because I believe every person out there on this planet has a burn moment somewhere in their life.
You heard Priest say a burn moment. So a burn moment is a super hard time in someone's life that they just had to fight to get through to be where they are today. And me and Priest believe that every single person go through burn moments every single day that truly build them to who they are. But Priest, what a guest we have today. I am so fired up for this episode. Our guest, he was selected number 1 overall in 2001 by the Atlanta Falcons. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. He won the Comeback Player of the Year award. He was the first ever quarterback to rush for more than 1,000 yards in a season. He has a documentary called The Champions and a book called Finally Free, a tell-all biography about his life, and recently was inducted into the National Quarterbacks Club Hall of Fame.
So please give a welcome to Michael Vick.
Let me say this. First of all, y'all got some cool names.
Priest and Phoenix.
Priest and Phoenix.
I have the better name.
Better name?
Yeah. I
would say it's about even, but
about
cool
even.
names.
Yeah.
And in your intro, it should have been a 5-time Pro Bowl. I had a burn moment. We'll talk about it.
Okay. 5 times, but
It was 4-time, but it should have been 5.
should have been
We'll talk
5.
about it.
Okay, but I got a little story to kick things off. So, growing up, my dad grew up in D.C., so he's a big Redskins fan, a diehard Redskins fan, which means I'm a Redskins fan too.
Right.
And so he had season tickets, and at the time we lived in Colorado, so every year we would sit down, look at the schedule, and be like, okay, what game do you guys want to go to? And so this was 2010. I was about 7 years old, and he was like, they're playing the Eagles. They're hosting the Eagles Monday night football game. Do you guys want to go? And I was like, yeah, of course. I want to go see Michael Vick play. I want to go see the Redskins play. Let's go. So we take a flight all the way from Colorado to D.C., and it's November, so the weather isn't great. It's raining. It's freaking cold and everything. And, I'm excited. I got my Sean Taylor jersey on, just ready to go. In the very first play of the game, you throw an 82-yard touchdown to Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
Really? You had to do me like that?
Yeah, it was built up. First of all, shout out to Sean Taylor. All right, Sean was an amazing player. Got a crazy story about him, but I won't get into it. But yeah, that night was first off, my grandmother was a Redskins fan, a Commanders fan. And my dream derived of playing in the NFL, watching football through her. And so I told her if I ever made it, I'd never lose to Washington. And so that was part of the motivation in that throw. Hankins went out deep, and then Deshaun and Landry got into it before the game. So it was a little tension. There was a lot of tension. And so, as a competitor, when you see one of your boys getting into it with somebody else, you want to get back. Now, you can't get back physically. So I was able to do it through the air.
Especially mentally, because we were just sitting here in the rain, and you're just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. And then not only, you scored literally 5 more touchdowns, and it was 45-14 at halftime.
No, that probably was my best game I ever had in my career as far as, just being dialed in and comfort level.
You think that's your best performance all time?
Yeah.
High school, college, NFL?
In NFL, you get game plans, and throughout the week, you try to gain an understanding of what has to happen on each individual play versus numerous defenses. And some nights you just, everything just happens. You see it, you react to it, you make a good decision, you go on to the next play. And that was one of those nights where I felt like, I was the best player in the league. And I had plenty of nights like that. And you should, as a player who's striving to be the best. And so it was just one of those nights where I felt really good, man. I didn't even feel that it was cold. I didn't even feel it was raining.
What'd you do? Change up your pregame routine or something?
Nah. What did I do? I took a long nap before the game, a long nap, unusual. And I woke up and Donovan McNabb, who was a good friend of mine, had just signed a contract. They like gave him a contract like right before the game had started, like 30 minutes before, you know, it was time to go to the stadium. And I was like, man, you know, I kind of looked at it as motivation, not disrespect, but I kind of used it to my advantage to go out and just be even more motivated, to show the Eagles that I was worthy of getting a new contract at some point. So it's a lot of things happened, but the unusual nap probably was the reason I was super focused.
A nap? I feel like if I took a long nap before a game, you know, you kind of feel a little sluggish. You
Yeah,
feel
nah,
like
I did
you can't get going.
Yeah, a couple years later, I was a little old. I took a nap against. We was about to play Kansas City, and I took a nap before that game, and I came out sluggish. So I was, you know, I was 32 versus 34, and it made a big difference.
Speaking of pregame, what do you like do right when you wake up on a morning of an NFL game?
Pray.
Yes.
Get up and
Amen.
pray. Get up and pray for your health and safety, because you know you about to enter into a gauntlet where everybody's swinging at you, especially the quarterback. You got people falling around your legs, your ankles. A lot of high impact. Very physical. Even though we're not as physical as other positions, when the defensive guy wakes up, all he's thinking about is sacking the quarterback, hurting him, getting him out the game. You know, they taught that to get the starting quarterback out the game, bringing the backup. It'll be a lot easier to win the game if the backup's in. So a lot of anxiety. So I pray for clarity, you know, mental clarity.
Amen. Amen.
So you said you had anxiety before the game. Was that every single game you kind of had?
Yeah, I mean, it was good anxiety. Being afraid to fail, I think, was always like my motivation. You know, especially if you got your wife, you got your family, you got your kids, you got your mom, you got people who you sit around just in normal conversations and tell, like, I'm the best. So you got to prove it to them. You got a fan base that is dependent on you and your performance, and you know, you dictate everything that this organization is going to be able to embody as far as success. So it's just, it all lies in the hands of the quarterback. And so I took that responsibility really serious and personal, but had fun doing it. So I feel like being afraid to fail like made me better.
Going back to praying, I feel like every single time before I pray, so during golf tournaments, I'll be up on the first tee saying a little prayer, and before that, I'm
gonna
like,
start doing that, but go ahead.
Anyways, before I tee off, I'm like a little antsy and like nervous, and right when I pray, it's just gone, and it's just like peaceful, tunnel vision. And
I'm gonna tell you the one time I think I prayed before I teed off on a golf shot. We was playing in the golf tournament. I was playing in the golf tournament. Michael Strahan invited me to like 6-7 months ago, and this is the first time I teed off, actually the second or third, but this time it was a crowd. Like, it was a big crowd watching. It's almost like a PGA Tour tournament, and Fred Couples was the captain of our team, and the only reason I said a prayer is because after all these years of putting in that hard work and time in golf, all I wanted to do was hit a good shot in front of Fred Couples. And how often do you get to have a professional golfer at an event, you know, a golf event that you plan? It's not just a random event. It was by design that he was the captain. And man, I hit one straight down the fairway.
Oh, there you go. That's the best.
All the years of hard work, it was like it paid off right there. Now the rest of the round was like whatever.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
though.
but I hit some good shots in front of Fred Couples, and I think I prayed about it. So
that's literally the best. That's the best feeling though. Like, and like for us in the tournament, like you're kind of anxious, but then you just stripe it, and you're just like, oh, thank God. Yeah, like we're good. We're good.
I almost feel like I'm more focused on the first shot than I am on the next shot.
Yeah, I'm the type. I get better as the round go on. So always going into that back nine is when I clean it up. I shoot 42 on the front, and I shoot 37 on the back.
Wow, there you go.
Or I shoot 46 on the front and 40 on the back.
We might have a little competition today.
Uh-oh.
You might be coming after us for that.
Strike it good.
We might try to get that belt right there, but I don't know if that'll happen.
Hey, I mean, it's y'all like competition?
Of
Oh, of
course.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Also, we might have to do another belt for pool.
Yeah.
We were talking
Bring
about
it
that a
on,
little bit
man. Bring it
earlier.
on.
Bring it
2K.
Let's
We
run
talked
it.
about
We do
that
it.
earlier.
We'll run everything.
2K
Video
Madden.
games, pool. Maybe we can see if we can throw it as far
Yeah,
as
just
you.
give me your gamer tag.
Give me a
Bet,
Zilla
yeah.
got him, boy.
This dude's name is Zillick Godden Boy.
I'll find him. I'll search it.
Yeah, you'll find it.
I'll search it and find him.
But all right, Mike. So on this podcast, we use the acronym BURN. So each letter is a little different time in your life.
Okay.
So we're gonna kick things off with B. B stands for beginning. So take us back to your childhood, high school days. Were there any burn moments that you just really had to get through that really got you to where you are today?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think just in the beginning, like I said, through my grandmother, I realized that I wanted to play professional football at some point in my life. Really, when I was 7 to 8 years old, it wasn't no Google. You couldn't. I mean, I was a kid, but I found out that you made money playing football, and I was like, okay, this is my path. And so, I do all these great things, in Little League, get to high school, and having a great high school career, freshman year, sophomore year, and then my junior year, my grades dropped significantly. I'm being recruited by all the schools across the country, and then I just had a mental lapse in grades, and other things became important, and then so I almost didn't make it, and that was like my burn moment. Like my high school coach stopped talking to me for a year. It was like 8 months. He was just like, look, if you're not gonna be like everybody else, you're not gonna be a statistic. You got a lot of opportunity in your life to make some of your life, and I got to turn my back on you. And it was all my fault, and I knew it was because I just got caught up in everything else outside of being a better student. And so I had to buckle down for a year, man, get my grades up and get everything right. And so that, when I think about times in my life where I put everything at stake in jeopardy, all I ever wanted was a scholarship, full ride, and that was my moment, and I almost blew it right then and there. But thank God I had him in my life who, really put his foot down and made me, focus.
It shows you that he was really looking out for you, because if he didn't see nothing in you, he probably wouldn't turn his back on you.
Yeah,
And
I look back on it like, man, he really cared. He really cared. Me and my wife talk about it all the time, like the routine and the regimen he had us on. Kept us out of trouble, kept us in a position where we could, have a job, make a little money, stay focused, and really understand what priorities and responsibilities was really all about. So it was cool.
Do you still keep up with him today?
Obviously? Yeah, he called me this morning. He called me and hung up. I don't know why he hung up as soon as he called me, but I think that's a sign when you want somebody to call you back, but you don't want to bother him.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, he's never bothered me.
That's so cool.
what age did you meet him at?
I met him at the age of 14. So if you're familiar with Aaron Brooks, played quarterback with the Saints. Yeah, my second cousin. He coached Aaron first, and then I came after Aaron. And so we met when I was 14. Aaron invited me up to junior varsity practice. I was going to play one more year of Little League. I was going to try to squeeze it out. And it just was time to move on. And I met him, and, in 2 days, he made me the starting quarterback. He seen the arm talent, and, hopefully it was, my character showed amongst, the rest of the young men I was around. And he made me the starter at junior varsity at 14 years old.
Wow, that's crazy.
And then I played varsity at the end of the year, and that was really scary, but it was good experience.
Put with the big boys.
Great experience.
I was about to say, so after your sophomore year, I believe you had to switch schools, correct? And he followed you there,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, I follow him.
Or he followed, okay, you followed him.
I follow
there.
him. We were supposed to go to a brand new school that was opening up. They opened up 2 amazing schools, and we thought we was going in the final hour. They switched the school, and he had to go to another school, and it was a rival school where we was playing against guys that we knew and was good friends of ours, just in a different location, different part of the city. And they merged us all together, and it was the weirdest thing, because the quarterback from that school was one of my best friends or good friends, and they had to move him to tight end. you know, I mean, it was only right. But my coach coming over, it was like, it felt biased. It felt real biased. Like, we just came and just like, but they was like 2-8 the year before, and we ended up like 6-4. So we made them better, significantly better.
How hard was it to transfer, though, before your senior year?
It was different. You know, it's one of those things in high school, you just never know what's going to happen. Like, you would never think that you would have to transfer out of your high school that you at now and go to a different school, like, abruptly. You know, it's a cool experience, but at the same time, I would have rather went to the new school. I think it was something personal against my high school coach, I think. You know, when I think about it, but, you know, it's hindsight, and we made the most of it. But it was really weird.
What do you mean it was really weird?
It was just because we knew all the guys that was over there. Like, we played against them 2 years in a row, and so the first school I went to was Ferguson, and it was Warwick, and it was like a rival. It's almost like Dallas versus New York, the Giants, or Dallas versus Philly, and then you just get the whole Dallas team just go and merge with Philly, like, you know. So it was weird.
Right when you transferred, did your friends, like, did they ever get, like, mad at you and, like, have beef with you since you transferred, like, in that very moment?
Nah, they was cool. You know, everybody really kind of had attitude about it, was upset about it, but they understood the situation. Like, our school closed down just out of, you know, it's just like out of nowhere. And we knew it was coming, but we all, like I said, we thought we was going to the new school that they had just built. They had just built this amazing high school, and like I say, in the 23rd hour, man, they switched the whole game plan on us, and we end up having to go to merge with a school where, I mean, you know, things like that happen, and then there's just potential for a lot of bad things to happen. You know, you got, you know, it's envy. You know, guys want your position. You know, it was just a lot, and so I took it with a grain of salt. I just, you know, my high school coach came and, you know, obviously all the kids that he knew was better than the kids that was there. He put us in the position to make the school better, which was the most important thing.
Did you feel like you had to prove yourself, though, as soon as you got there?
Yeah, every year I felt like I had to prove myself. Every year. It was a guy named Ronald Curry, who was a crosstown rival, and he got all the accolades. He was like the best quarterback I ever seen in high school. Like, I mean, regardless of who you seen out there, Ronald Curry was the best high school quarterback ever. And so I was always motivated to do just as well as him, and, you know, try to get a small, you know, snippet of, you know, newspaper clipping next to his. His would be like this big, and mine would be like that. And so I played the underdog role for a long time, and I just felt like when I went to college, I get the same players type, but good players around me. I have equal opportunity as everybody else had. We wasn't the best. I didn't have the best players around me. I wasn't the best, you know, either. When I look at myself and Ronald, he was a lot more talented than me. He was bigger. He was a little stronger. And once I got to college and I got a heavy diet at the weight room, and, you know, I was able to gain 20 pounds and be around some players that was just as good as me, my true skill set was able to show.
Speaking of college, what year in high school did you commit to Virginia Tech?
I committed my senior year. I got the offer. I had offers from Syracuse, Georgia Tech, Clemson, East Carolina, and Virginia Tech was like my top 5. And so I visited East Carolina, visited Syracuse. It was 15 inches of snow on the ground. It was cold. Donovan McNabb was my host. It was really cool. Great experience. I just got sick, caught the flu, and I knew Syracuse was instantly out. It was instantly out.
He's like, I got sick. No,
This, you know, Donovan, I called him like 2 days later, like, bro, I'm down. And so they knew that was out, but it did come down to Syracuse, Virginia Tech, and so I made the commitment my senior year.
What was that like in that very moment whenever you signed that?
I knew I was one step closer to my dream. Most importantly, I'm like, all right, mission accomplished. Pop Warner was cool. High school complete. This is
Now
one
it's off
more
to college.
off to college, and so now just a new level of anxiety started to creep in again. It's like as soon as I passed one test, it was like another one being put in front of me. But that was part of the process.
So you get to college and then they redshirt you. How did you feel about being redshirted? Were you fine with it, or were you like, I just want to play?
Yeah, I was thankful to be redshirted. What I found out when I went to college is that I didn't know enough about football. It was a different level of understanding. You have to learn defenses before you can even learn your offense and know what to do. And so when I first got there, my football knowledge was just like on zero. So it took like 4 months to learn how to read defenses, and so I couldn't play my first year because I would have been a mess. Like my first 30 practices, after those first 30 practices, I was like, Mom, I think I'm gonna come home and get a regular job.
Really?
Yeah, football is way too hard.
What was that burn moment that made you want to stick with football?
That moment didn't come until later in the year. Like I said, it took like 2 or 3 months to learn how to read defenses, maybe like 4. And so this was a good burn moment, though. I'm coming to the meetings every day. My coach, he encouraging me to continue to come to the meetings, keep coming. I think I told my wife this story plenty of times. And he like, keep coming to the meetings. And so, like, man, wasting time. All my boys, all the freshmen who came in with me, they hanging out during the weekends, and they going home and seeing their families, and I'm traveling with the team and really not understanding what's going on, whether we in game or whether we in a practice session or in a film session. And so it's like late December. I'm sitting in the film room and I'm watching the film, and all of a sudden it just came together. It was like, okay, I'm looking at a cover 2 defense, and I'm like seeing how people move, and I'm looking at a cover 3 defense, and I'm seeing how people move, and I'm like, I'm gonna go out on the scout team today and see if it rings true, like what I'm seeing. And the scout team, your job is to make the number 1 defense better, number 1 offense better, and so you just getting just free practice, and so it all rang true. Like everything I seen, it all came together. I won Scout Team Player of the Week 2 weeks in a row. And then I learned more about defenses over the next 2 months. I learned our offense in 2 months. I was in a quarterback battle in the spring, and I emerged as the number 1 quarterback after 2 weeks in a battle with a junior. Shout out to Dave Meyer. Dave, I love you, but it was great competition.
You just had to prove that.
Yeah. So that was a good burn moment.
That is a good burn moment, but you almost quit. That's crazy.
I was ready to quit 3 months before that. I was ready to pack it in. That was a burn moment because I realized I didn't understand enough about football. And then the game was moving real fast. So you're gonna go from high school to college. It's just a different level. Guys are bigger, they're stronger, a little bit older. Like you get in your grown man body. And so I was still 18 years old and trying to figure it out. And it was overwhelming, for sure.
How did you focus in? Because obviously college, there's so many distractions around you. How did you just focus in on football?
Yeah, well, one, I had a great offensive coordinator who was not only a good coach, he was like a father figure. So he was always checking in on me and my progress and school, well-being. He was always concerned. And so I felt obligated to, I always wanted to make my coaches proud in whatever way I could. Like I never wanted them to come to me and, well, you're not doing well in school. You're missing class. And I'm like, I don't need the nagging. And so I always tried to make them proud, whether on the field or off the field. And so he was always checking up on me. But still, throughout it all, in the back of my mind, I wanted to make it to the NFL. And at that time, it's like, it don't matter if I'm a first-round pick or if I'm a sixth-round pick. I just want a shot. And so I never thought I would be a number 1 pick. That was never a thought. If you would have asked me that at that moment, I would be like, there's no way in life. And so that was all in God's plan. I'll say that. But at the end of the day, it was all about getting drafted at some point, doing everything right to get drafted at some point. So that was always the motivation at any point, whether it was my first game or last game, the focus in between was to be good enough to be recognized and get drafted.
Going to your first college football game, what was that like?
I realized I was in the setting, like I was just looking at the whole atmosphere, like this is what I watched on TV as a kid growing up, and this is the setting where these guys can go to the pros. Like I'm like, yo, this is next level. It's a different atmosphere, and thank God I was able to redshirt because I was able to just sit back and watch everything and be real observant. Because if I became a starter one day, I want to know how to handle it. So it was important to watch our senior quarterback, Al Clark at the time. Shout out to Al. It was important to be able to watch him, how he handled things, how he handled timeout situations, how he handled third down situations, how he handled 1st and 10, how he handled 3rd and long, and decision making. So I tried to, learn vicariously the best I could.
So that red shirt definitely.
Oh man.
Helped.
Well, my high school coach, he demanded that I didn't play.
Really?
Yeah, he demanded that I didn't play from I wouldn't say, he asked Coach Beamer, to not play, don't play Mike his first year. He knew I needed to learn the game. See, that was him covering up for me behind closed doors. And Coach Beamer respected it because it was times they could have just put me in the game. Like, you super talented, you can run. Might not have understood where to throw it, but I'd have been able to run. But you still no good if you can't do it, compartmentalize and do it all together.
For sure. Even I was actually watching that game, your very first college game. In the first play, you threw a pass, and you said it was the worst pass you could ever throw.
Yeah.
The next play, you took it to the house.
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah.
yep, I belong here.
You seen that?
Yep, of course.
Yeah, that was well, in that moment, I just remember running onto the field, the first play, and looking into the sky. Like, I was so nervous. Like, I can't explain. Like, our backup quarterback, Dave Meyer, who I was in a battle with, we was roommates, and I just remember being so nervous that night. And he was just like, Mike, you're going to do fine. Don't worry, you're going to do fine. You just do what you've been doing in practice. And I'm like, nah, Dave, that ain't the case. Like, it's going to be different out there. Like, you know what it's like. I don't know. And I remember just running on the field and looking in the sky and saying, to myself, God, if this is it, if this is what you want. Like, no, I was saying to myself, this is what I always wanted. So first play, coach give me a pass play. Why wouldn't he let me hand it off on play one? Give me a pass play. Yeah, I made a good read. I just threw the ball in the dirt. A little nervous, threw it in the dirt. I was like, all right. Got that one out the way. The next play, he calmed me down. He called a quarterback draw, and the rest was history. Like house call, like house call on the second play of my career. It was like, I was like, damn, did they just let me do that? Like, is this game rigged or something?
Were you just flowing the rest of the game though? Like,
yeah,
it was clicking after that.
Yeah, it was almost like. This is a tip I give to just a lot of kids and a lot of people just watching. You got to practice. Practice got to be harder than the game. So I felt like our practice was like, it was tough. It was tough. We had hard practices, and to get through those practices, you got to be mentally tough. And so the game was just relatively easy because everything just slowed down in the game. I mean, I know this might sound crazy. I just said the game was fast, but everything slows down in the game when you know what you're doing, when you understand. And I know that might sound crazy, but I was just so comfortable. It was like I couldn't miss. I had good players around me. My offensive line blocked. My receivers caught the ball. Running backs ran. All I had to do was my job, manage the game. And so until I did that flip in the end zone on the touchdown run, I was probably statistically having the best game of my career. And that was his first game. But that was best game of my life. And so I was just really comfortable.
Mm-hmm. So fast forward to the end of the season, you guys are playing in the national championship against Florida State. How crazy was that moment?
Yeah, that was crazy. Never thought never thought that you would make it to a national championship, especially after 13 months prior being ready to quit football and then learning it, then going through a quarterback battle, going through spring training, still building my football intellect, and then starting from the first game, being nervous, throwing the ball in the dirt, to winning 13 games in a row, getting hurt, coming back from injury, playing the whole season, basically on a bad ankle, but just being able to persevere through that, wanting the hunger, wanting still in the back of my mind, like if I continue to do this right and get better and better, I'm gonna have a shot at playing in the NFL. So it was just all these factors and variables, and then all of a sudden it's a national championship. So when we get to that game, it's like I felt like I did enough, not to play on the next level, but to showcase that we was one of the best teams in the country, and I was probably one of the best players in college football. Never thought it would be that way. The grind, and got me to that point.
You just kind of kept your head down and kept going.
Yeah, it was like, if we beat Rutgers, we can enjoy it for the night, but that's not good enough. We got Miami next week. Got to get ready for Miami. Beat Miami. We got West Virginia. So it was really no time to. It was really no time to celebrate. You couldn't celebrate. You could celebrate with your family or celebrate for a couple hours, but if you go out and lose the next week, then it changes the dynamic of everything. And so we always wanted to just stay, ascending.
Going back to the championship game, were you more nervous for that game than you were for your first college game?
Yeah, I was more nervous for that national championship game than anything I probably ever did in my life. And I went to the Heisman Trophy ceremony the week before, had to speak in front of, millions of people, conquered that. And then that game, it was just the magnitude of it. It was just exciting. And I remember the first drive, I couldn't, it was so loud I couldn't block out the cadence loud enough. I had a headache, my head was pounding, and then the second quarter I just settled down. And I got into a rhythm, and they was up by that time, it was like 28-7 or something. And when it clicked for us, we was like, we had to fight and get back into it. And then we ended up taking the lead 29-28, and then they ran off with it. But just to be in that moment and to make it, man, it was like we never thought we would be in that moment. So for every man on that roster, coaches included, it was a great run and a good success story.
Yeah, so for me, in golf, sometimes I'm playing in a big golf tournament, and I kind of feel that pressure. Sometimes I don't know how to handle it as well. So what would you say, how would you handle a high pressure situation kind of like that? What were some things that you did that game?
Think positive, more so than knowing that, because if you practice and put in the time, you can pull off a shot. I know I can pull off a throw. I know if something happened and it's outside of the box that I can react to it and I can be, present in the moment. And it's gonna be some moments where you're gonna have to persevere. You might duck hook the first shot.
Yeah.
But it's not how you start, it's how you finish. I had games where nothing went right for 3 quarters. I had a game I threw 4 interceptions, and then had a game winning drive. I had a minute and 52 seconds left on the 4-yard line. We had to go 96 yards after throwing 4 interceptions. And so you can imagine how I felt.
Yeah.
My cousin called me right after the game, was like, man, great finish, but you got to tighten it up. Yeah, obviously. But it's not always going to go right. And so when you go into it knowing that, look, I don't have to be perfect. I just got to persevere, and you're going to come out on top every time.
For sure.
Be ready for the adversity.
This portion of the Burn Factory podcast is sponsored by Phoenix Salon Suites. Please visit Phoenix Salon Suites at PHENIX Salons SALON Suites SUITES.com to find one near you.
Right into our next topic and Burn. You unfortunate. I actually want to share a little unfortunate experience myself.
Yeah, you got it.
So it's the last week of school. We just moved into this house right on the golf course, as you can see. My dad just bought me a brand new set of golf clubs, and I was actually about ready to play my very first golf tournament.
Yeah.
So pumped. Go to school. Normal day. Science class comes. Walk into the science class. Teacher says she's going to do a science experiment. And I didn't think too much of it. And she's like, yeah, it's going to be involving fire, baking soda. Saying I'm like, oh, cool, fire. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be fun, like watching something like burn and stuff. And
Yeah.
so she's like, all right, we got to go outside to do this. And so we all get outside, semicircle, and next thing you know, it's like a bomb goes off. And then that moment, I literally thought I was gonna die. I remember all the kids saying, he's on fire, he's on fire. And ambulance comes. And
Yeah. I feel like just
ambulance comes. They put me in the ambulance, and the swelling was getting so bad. They're about ready to fly me to the hospital because they were worried I was going to make it. And the swelling just started getting so bad. And I remember looking at my phone, Snapchat, and my face was completely disfigured. And it's completely disfigured, and I thought I was gonna look like that for the rest of my life. Not knowing if people were gonna look at me the same. Am I ever gonna get a girlfriend? Are people even gonna look at me the same? But in that tough time, I really found out how strong I was. A couple days go by, and I had my day again putting. Jeez.
very good.
I had my dad go get my putter, and I put a couple balls into this little glass jar, and slowly but surely, it just started putting a smile on my face. In that moment, I knew I was gonna fight, and I won.
I feel like just unfortunate times. That's such an unfortunate event, like in our life, and for me, I was literally, it was summertime, and I just got out of school, and I was golfing with my buddies here, and I'll never forget that call. Like my dad called me, and I was like, oh, okay, he's probably just calling, saying like where are you, when are you gonna be home, kind of thing. And he was like, no, your brother got burned. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe he was just messing with a hot glue gun or something. Yeah. But he was like, no, they might fight for life him. And I was like, wow. And then just going to the hospital and seeing, like, that's my brother. Like, he's 12 years old. Like, why him? Like, we have such a grounded faith in our family. We went to a Christian school. But not going to lie, it was hard. It was like, God, like, why did this happen to him? Like, he's so pure. He's so, like, he's a child, man. And there's people out there in this world that do so many horrific things that can't even compare to what he just went through. But at the end of the day, now looking back on it, 3 years, like, look what we have now. We're sitting here talking to you. We're sharing our stories, and for the people listening, like, they're going through some stuff too. Yeah. Like, not everyone's perfect. Not everyone lives this perfect life. Like, they go through burn moments that a lot of people don't know about, and we feel like that's really what makes you you. It's not the money, it's not the fame, it's not the followers, it's those hard times that you wanted to quit. Yeah. You were ready, you wanted to mail it in, but you're like, you know what, no. Like, I'm here for a bigger purpose. So unfortunate burn moments happen, and with your story, there's been so many unfortunate burn moments that you've had to just fight to get through. So could you share with us maybe some unfortunate burn moments you went through?
Well, I just talk about one. Having to go to prison, for 18 months, having to leave my family, having everything that I always worked for in my life, put it in jeopardy, not really understanding the magnitude of what I was going through. And so, it was a burn moment where I jeopardized everything in my life, at the time. And so, for whatever reasons, it was another moment where I had to persevere. We got to persevere. Plenty nights I cried. My wife will tell you, it's plenty nights I cried on the phone and just having my freedom taken away. Just wanting to have a chance to live life again. But knowing that it wasn't going to happen for 2 years. Like, I come from that type of background, but that's not my background. And so, the things I always told myself I wouldn't do, or places I wouldn't end up. And so I can relate on so many levels to tragedy. So that was a serious burn moment, and for you, man, I understand, the pain, but look how you fought. And it won't be hard to get a girlfriend now. You look good. You look good, man. Am I right or wrong? Yeah. Hey, good. You're a lucky man. Lucky young man. Both of y'all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Super blessed.
It puts a lot of things in perspective, too. It's like things can be taken like that.
Yeah.
And so, like that saying, like live every day like it's your last.
Yep.
Like,
No,
I feel like
have to.
Yeah. I feel like now, like us, we truly live that like it's our last.
Yeah, man. You mentioned golf, and golf, being one of the reasons why, the feeling of faith came back, the joy, the happiness. People ask me why I play golf, and it's for those reasons, like the peace, the solitude, I get to get all these memories, all these things that's jogged in my mind, out of my mind. It's like I said, it's peaceful, and it's challenging. So you get all these emotional aspects of life on the golf course, and people don't know. Even if you make a putt, you miss a putt, that's an emotional swing. Make a good swing, miss one, it's an emotional swing. You see your buddies hit a good shot, you compliment him, you turn your level of competition up. It's amazing what sports can do for you. It's amazing what settings like this can do for you. getting it out and talking about it, man, it's always going to be therapeutic for you. Being able to talk about, my burn moments is really therapeutic for me because I don't get to ask the questions all the time. I just got to live with it. And so, I live with a lot of hurt. I live with a lot of regret. So, we all got something. And you never know what else is going to be. You just got to be ready for it.
For sure. Like how you said, you got to treat every day like it's your last. And
Yeah.
even going back to when that unfortunate thing happened, what was that thing that brought joy to you in that?
My family. Yeah, my family. I only had like 2 minutes a day to talk to my wife and try to figure out what was going on in life or what was going on in the outside world, whether it was business related, whether it was related to my case, whether it was about my kids. I had 3 minutes a day to talk to the person I love the most. My mom, some days I couldn't talk to her. I didn't have enough minutes on the phone where I could talk to her, So, I'm like, really like, to me, living in hell. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it could always be worse. I still, I felt like as long as I woke up every day and I could breathe fresh air, I got a chance. I'm one step closer. But, man, I just told myself I'd never take my freedom for granted. Waking up every day, like I say, is a blessing. I don't think people really put true value in what it takes to have your freedom and have opportunity every day. So, hopefully that's something that people gravitate to when they watch this segment.
For sure.
You said your last day in prison was the start of your new life.
Absolutely.
So would you consider that last day like a burn moment? Like, you know what, I'm never going back to this. Like, it's only up from here.
Yeah, I wanted to burn all those memories, but I wanted them to stick. Like, I wanted them to. I wanted to feel those 548 days for the rest of my life to some capacity. Like, I know somewhere, in my spiritual being, it's like I always think about those moments and those days, how hard it was, and just try to put some perspective on my life when I wake up every day, when I can wake up and be with my family, and I can wake up and I got opportunities to do different things and explore different things, and even play golf or teach my son to play golf, or have a chance to conversate with my son and my daughters about things that they may be going through, good or bad. How was their day in school? Enlightenment. It really means a lot. So if I can live every day and have that and see them happy, I'm happy, they happy. Mm-hmm. We all happy.
That first day getting out of prison, what'd you do?
Damn, what we do, man? I think I don't know. I think we went and got some fast food for sure. We went and got some fast food. I think I remember being in the hotel and just just being in a certain place for so long, being programmed to the same routine every day. It's like you forget that it's a world out there that exists. I mean, I know it's ironic. I'm coming from a place where a lot of people majority of the people who are watching this probably never been, Mm-hmm. And so, I'm always appreciate the value of life, waking up every day and having the chance to, like I say, have opportunity, having the chance to be around the people that I love, because I was around, a bunch of people that I didn't know every day, and I never forget those. I never forget those times. So I remember, but I've totally forgot about what was out. What McDonald's looked like, what a hotel room looked like what it was like to go sit in a restaurant. It became something that was just distant in my mind.
For sure. How'd you deal with like all the haters out there, and just whenever you like walked into, I actually saw where you walked into a steak restaurant and everyone was actually cheering and happy you're there. Yeah. And then you look at like going to like whenever the Eagles did pick you up, you go to the facility and then you see
protesters.
People
Protesting. It's like you got to have thick skin. I learned that playing quarterback, like just from years of doing well, you get the praise, and then when it's not going so good, you get the boos, and those boos hurt a lot more than those, a lot more than the gratification you get out of the cheering, for sure. So it hurts your ego, it hurts your pride, and then so me in the situation that I was in, I just had to look at it like, okay, it's something that it's unjustifiable, and I'm in a situation where I can only make amends and try to make it right. I can only do better. Perception is everything. The world, 90% perception, 10% reality. So people gonna believe what they hear. And so it was my job to try to make 80% of those haters or non-believers believers. Like, okay, he made a mistake. We forgive him. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't take it personal. I say all that to say that I couldn't take it personal.
Yeah, because if you did, then
it was irrational thinking from there. The minute I get a chance to talk at the podium, and I just went and threw for 300 yards, and I could lash out, but that's not going, it's not going to do anything for anybody. It's not going to help my situation moving forward. It's not going to make people look at me any different. That's football. So I had to change as a person, and I had to let people see that.
I think, well, from the start, you've always been out about it and speaking about it, and a lot of times it's hard. Like for him, it was hard to just speak about it now. Yeah. So how hard was it for you to, you know what, like I'm going to speak about it. I'm not just going to hide this away and pretend to forget about it.
Yeah, I felt like my passion for animals, I really couldn't, it conflicted with my passion for animals. And so, now people, they looking at it like, damn, you did this, you went through this situation. And I'm like, man, only thing I could do is talk about it, become an advocate, embrace animal welfare, learn more about it, be more educational with it, and try to help the next generation or help kids understand how valuable it is. And so I come from a place where we don't, that don't take precedent, or we don't, add any value. We don't put value into, we don't talk about it. We don't learn it growing up. Mm-hmm. And so, I went through a situation where I had to learn a lot in terms of other things and other areas in life that I didn't pay a lot of attention to. And so, while I'm thinking I'm not doing anything wrong, people look at it a certain way. They look at it different. They view it different. And so I had to respect that part of it and try to be, as contrite as I could be, going through the process, even though I wanted to be upset, be angry, wanted to explain myself, but it's no explaining it, in the moment like that. It's about just doing what's right.
What did you kind of learn about yourself during that time? You said you learned a lot about the other stuff, but what did you learn about you?
Man, I learned that, I can get through anything. I learned that it's no test on the football field that I couldn't conquer. There's no test in life that I couldn't conquer after going to a place and going through what I went through. I won't explain, the day-to-day life, of what it's like to be, incarcerated or be away, or, how you get transported or how you move around. It's irrelevant. I had to experience that, and it hurt. It hurt to go through it. But after going through it, I'm like, it don't make me more of a man than anybody else. It's just that, I dealt with somebody. I felt like I had God on my side, and when I came out of it, I had more faith moving forward in life than I had fear.
I can 1000% definitely relate to that. And and right after my incident happened, it made me look at
faith over fear.
Mm-hmm. And even still to this day, I mean, through the traumatic experience, I still fear of things that could happen.
Yeah.
But through that toughest time, it really makes you a stronger person who you are today.
Yeah. It's it's no substitute for trauma. It comes in different forms, and different things happen to different people. You have some people who go through things and and they can't come back from it. You know, people lose arms and legs, and they feel sorry for themselves. And then you hear all these inspirational stories and stories of people, persevering and like, man, I'm not gonna care what other people think. I'm not gonna care what anybody else say. I'm always walking my head held high. And man, that when you can do that, and when you can be that person, on a day-to-day basis, there's nothing nobody can tell you. You dictate your life. You dictate where you want to go, what you want to do, and how successful you want to be. Nobody else can dictate that for you.
Exactly. Amen. I love it.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're gonna move on to our a little more light than you for unfortunate.
Yeah, so life is an emotional roller coaster. That don't mean we can't be emotional right here. In this setting. Yeah,
that's what this podcast is. It's life, and so art is ridiculous. So all those years in the NFL, college, high school, all those road trips. There had to be a ridiculous burn moment that you went through, whether it be, a fan asked you a question, you maybe had a stalker, was there any ridiculous things that you had to go through that you could share with us?
Any ridiculous things that I had to go through. I know we trying to, bring the positivity. I mean, not positivity, but we trying to, bring the energy back up in here. But man, it was really weird, and I just, maybe I just use this to clear up some of the things that happened in my career. Ridiculous moment. And my wife, who's sitting right here, sitting to my right, your left. She know the story. We just played the New Orleans Saints. Sean Payton just became the coach. We beat the Saints for years. My cousin Aaron Brooks was there. And so this particular year, Drew Brees come in, Sean Payton, and they beat us on the road. And we was beating them at home, and we was beating them, and they came back and won. They had Drew. I did everything. I passed for 180, ran for 180, threw for 180. And after the game, I'm hearing these boos. We lost. I'm hearing these boos, and I'm running into the locker room, and I look up in the stands, and it was this New Orleans Saints fan, not Atlanta Falcons fan, because people think it was a Saints fan. It was born, and they were saying, saying all these things to me, and I'm like, only thing I could react and do in that moment was put up my middle finger. I couldn't get to him. I just it was I flicked them off, and I was just kind of mouthy behind it, and I was having a moment, man. And I was saying earlier, I could have been 5-time Pro Bowler. It was 4-time, but that was a ridiculous moment where I was getting heckled bad by a fan. I can't even repeat on camera what the fan was saying. And I'm like, nah, that ain't me. You got me. You talking about the wrong person. And so I defended myself, and then that started my downward spiral, and I was it cost me a Pro Bowl, man. But it was a ridiculous moment that I could have handled a lot better. I was 25 years old, defending myself, and then I just felt like, how did a New Orleans Saints fan get in the middle of all these Atlanta Falcons fans and was able to talk trash to me? I'm like, yo, y'all should have handled that up in the stands. Shouldn't have been me. So
wait, so
ridiculous.
You said it cost you a Pro Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, I was having one of my best years statistically, and so when something like that, even though it wasn't no social media, it still had the internet back then, and so I was on my way to the Pro. If that wouldn't have happened, I was going to my 5th straight Pro Bowl for sure, and so they say when you get 5 Pro Bowls, it's automatic Hall of Fame.
What was the reason? Just because you flipped
yeah.
I think it's so many things other players have done and still made the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, but you can't be a quarterback doing that. You can't be the face of the franchise, and you got to conduct yourself a certain way. And I just kind of let my emotions get the best of me, and a ridiculous moment, man.
Oh, actually, there is a ridiculous moment that I saw, and it was actually your first NFL game, and you were in the huddle with your team, and it was a TV timeout, and you reached inside your helmet and pulled out chapstick.
About that the other day.
Started like puffing your lips out there, and your teammates like, what is he doing? And the next play, you took it to the 25.
Yep. I was just trying to loosen them up. I was just trying to lighten the mood. The huddle the energy was like kind of like was down, and I just stepped out of it. And I just put on some chapstick. And they like, yo, this dude just put some chapstick on.
Yeah.
He ain't played it down in the NFL. He just stepped out there like, yo, that was too cool. And I'm like, yeah, it's too cool. Let's go.
Where'd you put it? Like, I remember
I had it like stashed
like behind your ear?
Yeah, in the middle of my helmet. I had a little secret compartment back there where I could, we playing at Soldier Field and it get too cold. And can't be barking out cadence with chapped lips, no doubt.
Did you ever worry about it like falling out mid-game, or was it perfectly secured?
I had replacements on the sideline. I had replacements.
I saw something that you spent $1,000 a year on chapstick.
Just about until we reached out to chapstick and tried to get an endorsement deal. They gave me a deal. They didn't give me no money, but they gave me a lifetime supply of chapstick at the time.
What
gave
brand?
a lot of it away.
Was it Burt's Bees? Was that even a thing?
Lip balm. What's the name of the chapstick brand?
Chapstick.
Chapstick. Yeah, chapstick.
Oh,
is it like a flavor or like?
Yeah, I think it was the original.
Oh, ew.
Yeah, I think it was the original.
I hate the mint ones. The mint ones burn your lips.
Yeah,
I'll never do them.
Yeah, I hate those.
I'm super blessed because I don't really get chapped lips that much. You do, though.
I have to like put it on like every 2 hours.
Yeah,
and
me
then
too.
This kid's like, I've never used chapstick a day in my life.
Never.
Yeah,
I've never once
crazy.
used chapstick, which is bizarre to me.
Man. You're lucky, man.
Yeah. Even when we lived in Colorado, like at altitude,
real?
it's so dry. I had to use them. Never.
Yeah, you
we were
walk
just
outside and you get dry.
Yeah. We were just there 2 weeks ago, and this dude did not put chapstick once, and I was literally every 30 minutes because it's so dry.
And my lips are blistering, but I didn't feel any pain.
Did y'all ski? Did y'all ski out there?
Snowboard.
Snowboard.
Voice crack.
Very first time snowboarding.
Yeah, I'm gonna learn to ski
You're gonna learn
this
to?
year.
No snowboard?
No, that sounds a little more dangerous. What's more dangerous, skiing or snowboarding?
Mother, what's more dangerous?
It's taking too long to answer that question. I'm gonna stick to skiing.
Yeah, I think snowboarding is definitely.
Well, snowboarding, yeah, it's more tough because you have both feet strapped in. So if you fall, you just have either your arms to brace you. But like skis, you're kind of on a pole. So if you fall, you can just like.
And your feet, your feet pop out too. So like if you fall, it pops out.
Yeah, I'll ski.
Like snowboard. I gotta show you a video after this. I took a good spill.
Check it out. I want you to check it out.
That was a ridiculous burn moment for Phoenix too.
Yeah.
Humbled him real fast on the snowboard.
Yeah, I thought it was good, and we were filming a vlog during that, and I had the camera out, like look at me, go boom, just ate it.
Good content.
It was good. I got the money shot. That's all that matters. I got the money shot.
I think we were done after that one.
I was done. That was it. I called it a day.
Cool.
But all right, moving on to the last letter N. It's like 2 parts, now and next. So what are some burn moments that you're going through now? And what are some burn moments that you see coming to you in the future?
Burn moments that I'm going through now. My kids are growing up, and I feel like my wife and I feel like it's just a lot more teaching going on, a lot more monitoring. Preparing for the future for them and their route to path to success. We got an older son that's 20 in New York Film Academy. He's aspiring to be an actor. And then we got, our oldest daughter who's 18, who's high school quarterback for a flag football team.
Oh.
And so trying to figure out what direction she's going to go in life. She's going to continue to play ball, go to college, what's next for her. So those are like, burn moments that we going through right now. Feel like there's a lot of decisions, big moments that's pending and coming up, and we got to be a big part of that and helping them make the right decisions. And so that's kind of in the now. What's next? We trying to venture into the documentary space. We shooting a lot of content right now, and hopefully trying to land a couple of nice deals with some of these major streaming service networks. So we got great ideas, and my wife and I, we working on them together. She just put a project together that's going to debut soon. The Evolution of the Black Quarterback is going to be an amazing story about the quarterback position and where we are now. And so really excited about that and continuing to be the best analyst I could be at Fox and enjoying that and having fun. We just had the Super Bowl, and Super Bowl was amazing. So we was able to broadcast that. So that's kind of like now and next for us, man.
Cool. Speaking of the Super Bowl, your team, the Eagles, played. Did you go for them, or were you rooting for the Chiefs?
They almost pulled it off, but I expect the Eagles to get back, and so
You think?
yeah, absolutely, they'll get back. The thing is, Kansas City is going to be good for a long time. Andy has a formula now, and he got the best quarterback in the league. So when you got great head coach, great quarterback, you're going to win a lot of games.
Oh, for sure.
A healthy Patrick Mahomes too. He was banged up.
Man, he was banged up.
He still played through it.
And played through it and won the Super Bowl. That tells you, look at that. Like, I just explained how hard it was to play in the NFL. And we got a guy who goes out there and win a Super Bowl on a hurt ankle. Like,
yeah. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Crazy game.
Crazy.
You think that last play was a PI?
No. Yes.
No.
Yes.
The
it was
last
a PI.
play,
Yeah, it was a
okay.
PI.
You thought it was PI?
It was PI. He just got fooled. He just got tricked. He thought it was the same play that he had seen a couple plays before that. And so, in life, you're allowed to make a couple mistakes. You'll own up to it. I like the way he owned up to it, and you see what happened. He just got signed back to the Eagles.
Yep.
So they didn't look at it as a major mistake. He, just do better next time.
Speaking of the documentary, when is that going to come out?
It'll be out in 2024 for sure.
24?
It'll be out in 2024.
Cool. We'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
it's
we'll
gonna be
definitely
hard.
have to check it out.
Yeah,
Let
it's
us know
gonna
when
be
it comes
hard.
out.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
We should be one of the first premiere to watch it.
No doubt. Yeah,
We should
and
do-
then
we should
y'all
do-
can talk about it on the platform,
we
man.
do.
Of
Maybe
course,
I-
of
We do
course.
a little recap show.
Oh yeah.
yeah, that'll
So
be cool.
we do like little recap shows of like Super Bowl, boxing, UFC, whatever.
Oh, no
So
doubt.
we'll do a little
No doubt.
recap on your documentary
Yeah,
as well.
maximize the platform.
Yes, sir.
Maximize the
Yes,
platform.
sir.
Sure.
Well, all right, Michael. You
This is
just
fun,
spelled
man.
burn in your
This is
life.
fun.
Thank you.
You are now
for
the
coming
Burn
on.
Factory champion.
I'm the champion.
There you go.
I'm the
But
champion.
let the audience know where they can find you, Instagram,
You
wherever.
can find me on Sundays during the season from September to January on Fox Sports. Shout out to Fox Sports. On Instagram at Mike Vick. Twitter, I don't even know. I utilize my social media when needed, but continue to follow me. Follow my wife at what's your Instagram, baby?
She's like, no.
Yeah, man.
She's like, no.
She's like-
Wifey always trying to play the background. Yo. She's tripping.
Every time someone's like, "Hey, you want to plug your stuff?" I'm like, "Yep, it's Priest." Always got to plug my stuff.
Absolutely.
But you heard Michael Vick. Go follow him. And as a gift for coming on the podcast, you will be getting the Black Label Edition Burn Factory hoodie and
Yeah,
hat.
baby.
Yes, sir.
Only. Whoops. I'm fired. Only guests can get those.
Get the
Okay,
black
cool,
hoodie.
cool.
So.
Yes. Also the belt. So
And the belt.
and the belt.
And the belt. You're going home with the belt.
I ain't got to work for it. Nice. Appreciate it.
Next time
fellas.
you're on Fox, you just gotta put that up there in front
Oh
of you.
yeah, I won't forget, man. Remind me.
I will.
For sure. Well, that will do it. Michael Vick just spelled burn. Like always, please visit my foundation, thepriestjamesfoundation.org. Again, thepriestjamesfoundation.org to understand why this is called the Burn Factory. We'll see you for the next episode.
Peace.